world or in the NBA. Force of the players are black. The Adams and they call their owners governors. Owners, but the people who in the NHL. So they'll have a governors meeting. That doesn't mean the owners are meeting. It means the might be an owner involved, but it's the people in. That's what he says. Of course, there were probably lots of really bad governors, by the way, who but governor sounds a lot better. Now, if I had the chance, I'd like to ask of governors of, say, a restaurant, and if thinking about attempting to do something that might actually matter. If NBA players can be triggered. So, but anyway, from now on, refer to the owner, or should I say, the person who is in possession of an NBA franchise as an owner. He or she is now the liberal stupidity. Story hour scheduled for Carnegie Library in Oakland this Sunday, if you're interested in taking your kids. And when we come back, we're going to talk to the Carnegie Library Manager of Communications about that. Stick around. We've been telling you has a genetic disorder that will appreciate this.
Everyone talks about how great Pittsburgh is, and our board.
And if you'd like to see how you can help, please go to the website. Check it out at miraclesinmoon.org. Miraclesinmoon.org.
Once upon a time, many numbers. It was a heavy, cumbersome, yellowish-looking thing. I believe they called it a phone book. You'd place your ad in the book and hope customers would call.
Hello?
We've come a long way. Now, there's sales deliver customers. This is used to succeed, and our team at Salem Surround can guide you through all the available options with the expertise visibility and revenue. With Salem, no limitations on Pittsburgh.com, connecting
Here at the Original Mattress Factory, our
Ron Trzynski started and ditch the high-pressure sales tax.
Promising future. Walk the ancient temple steps, sail on the sea. So many more. Key sites, comfort and safety of luxurious time. Join me for a life-changing adventure to
theanswerpgh.com/Israel. That's theanswerpgh.com.
Well, we've been talking about it here for off and on, I guess, for a couple of months. Drag queen. He joins us now. Thanks for being here, Suzanne.
Thanks for having me on, John. Glad that we have the opportunity to talk. For the family. It came about, at least for our library system, in 2017. Families who requested this kind of specific programming for their children. And that
Pretty quiet because in other places they're
it's presented. The story time itself is a great time for children. It actually promotes kindness and understanding. It teaches children to be different. That Sure. So our story hour, this particular story hour, is from birth to age 5, and it's actually going to be on Saturday, this coming Saturday.
I said Sunday. I'm sorry, Saturday.
You said Sunday. No, that's quite okay. In our Oakland location. And for the past year and a half, we've had a variety of numbers who have come to the library. So I have seen 100 children, and I've
except for the facial hair, and I'm wondering. I mean, if you're how is a 4-year-old even able to grasp the idea that this is a man dressed as a woman? Doesn't he just think it's a woman anyway?
Oh, I can't speak for what the somebody so exaggerated that they can identify that there's self-exploration and creativity,
Right.
and that it kind of helps that child embrace their own differences. And so it does teach the child to be kind and teach respect, and really understand that.
And for, again, I don't understand. Hey, look, if you're doing that for older kids, I agree with the concept. But if you're dealing with kids who are old enough to grasp the concept that this is a woman, I mean, this is a man performing and dressed as and acting as a woman, presenting himself as a woman. And then whatever the lesson is that you think they learn from that, I don't necessarily agree with it, but I understand what you're trying to do there. But with toddlers and babies, why not just have a woman do it? How do they know? And if they don't grasp the idea that it's a man, how are they? What's the lesson they're learning?
Well, I think the lesson is having that performer who is so exaggerated and over. It's not just so. With a child expert. So it's not just the performer reading to children. Themes such as the straight hair, and she didn't like her curly hair because it made her different. But in the end, she realized that that's what makes her her.
Right.
And her friends, loved her because of who she was. And I think that's kind of the positive message. And if it's a performer that helps the child understand that, I have never seen a child be afraid in story hour. I've never seen them leave crying, except it's a positive experience, I think, for the families who go there. Now, I do recognize, and the library recognizes, that this particular story hour, it might not be right for all families. And so that's why the library does offer a variety of story programs, including sensory story time. So our drag queen story hour is very loud. There's a bubble machine. They have different musical instruments that they use. And so we do have a sensory story time for children who kind of need that time, who maybe have some sensory or are on the autism spectrum, and kind of need that quiet time in order to digest different information.
Well, I guess that to me, the story you just described about the girl with the curly hair, that's a very nice lesson. And it's the kind of lesson that has been taught, I think, to kids for a long time. You're adding some confusion there that you don't need to have. You can teach that lesson without a drag queen, I guess is what I'm saying.
You could, but I do think that a lot of the families who specifically requested this for a space that promotes understanding, that's a safe space, an inclusive space for families. Maybe they come from a non-traditional family and they have the opportunity to meet other families like them that they maybe were not seeing in other story hours. Some families who really want this type of programming.
Well, will the kids be again? If you're talking about a 2 or 3 year old, is barely taught. But is there will it actually be explained to them that this person is a man dressed as acting as a woman, or is this person presented to them as a woman who just is, as you say, flamboyant and over the top?
So when our performers enter the room, they are presented as our performers. It would just be like any other performer who comes in for a library program. They happen to be a little over the top, and you don't sit down and explain to the child. And honestly, some children I don't think understand that it's a man dressed as a woman, but I think that having a performer, that's really what the child gravitates towards. They're looking at having the fun, having someone who's completely over the top, and having that experience.
They might get the same thing with Ronald McDonald. I mean, it's kids like that. I've been around kids. They like clowns. They like over the top things. If you're not telling the kid what's going on, if you're not telling the kids what is going on. I'm not getting how now, which brings me to another question. What
this particular program is looking at children up to grade 5. I said 5 years old, so up to grade 5.
Oh, okay. This is birth to grade 5, not birth,
grade 5,
not to 5 years old. Okay,
to 5 years old, so grade 5.
But is there one for kids older than that?
Currently, this is the
story hour this Saturday. If it would seem to me that if you would bring in kids who understand the difference between the sexes, and you're trying to promote an acceptance of people who have gender fluidity, you would actually be more by. I guess I'm having a real hard time understanding like a 6-year-old that doesn't know the difference between a man and a woman other than what they're wearing and how it benefits them that much.
Sure, I know I do understand. And the one thing that we do want to separate is this is a performance. This has nothing to do with hypersexuality.
Just straight parents. I'm searching for a word that won't offend anybody. But
there's a lot of different types of families. Some traditional, some non-traditional, who come to the event.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, almost the only thing that was missing was a poll, and it was celebrated by the people on Good Morning America.
the country. Our story, our volunteers, our performers are complete volunteers, and volunteers, and they do have all of their clearances on file with us.
Now, what would your reaction be to say if the NRA wanted to come and read stories to kids about the history of the gun in the United States, something like that?
Well, we do develop programs based on customer feedback and input, and so if there were people that were interested in having a certain program about that.
Okay, I only have about a minute 20 left. So again, this thing on Saturday. Is it free to anybody who wants to go, or do you have and?
So you do have to have a child. That's one of the caveats, and it is in our children's department. It is off to the side, so anybody who visits the library probably wouldn't know that it's happening unless they're specifically there for it.
You just show up. There's no tickets or.
Sure, absolutely. There's no tickets. There's no admission charge. If you have a family that you would like to bring, you're more than welcome to.
Okay, Suzanne, I really appreciate you being here to talk about it. It's a subject that I've been talking about a lot here. I'm not that thrilled with the idea, and I hope I didn't want to ambush you.
No,
so I hope I
no.
asked you some fair questions, and you were able to. Thank you, Suzanne. And we back.
RN News, I'm Ron Droxtra. President Trump is taking action to force hospitals to publicly post their prices.
In a bid to keep healthcare costs down, the president signed an executive order that calls on hospitals to disclose the actual prices of their common tests and procedures.
We believe the American people have assessed before they go to visit the doctor.
He called it a truly historic day.
First time ever, first time it's ever been.
The cost of healthcare will go way, way down. Greg Clugston, the White House.
Secretary of State Mike Pompeo has met with Abu Dhabi's influential crown prince to sell the Trump administration's idea for maritime security in the Persian Gulf amid heightened.
Carrying too much of it, you're not alone. The app carry credit. Your straight mortgage is 4.125%. APR 4.22%. Call us today at 800-QUICKEN to learn how taking cash out with a 30-year fixed mortgage might be the right solution for you. And for a record 9 years in a row, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction for primary mortgager. Call us today at 800 or go to rocketmortgage.com.
J.D. Power award information, visit jdpower.com.
Democrat view on abortion.
When a woman gets pregnant, that is not a human being inside of her. It's part of her body.
I've heard a lot. You heard her. It's not a human. What is it then? A fish? What is it? A pineapple?
to ensure they protect what matters most. At Abernathy and Hagerman, we will work with you to establish an estate plan that nominates a guardian for your minor children and that your assets are used for your family's benefit. Judge for yourself. For legal help that lasts a lifetime, visit a-h.law.
Community Bank, Highmark Stadium, Peters Township Community Center, Angelo's Restaurant. What do all these businesses have in common? Nello Construction. Design and built with one company. Nello Construction. Full service construction from the ground up. Renovation. Expansion. Nello Construction. The choice for business. See the projects. Begin the journey at nelloconstruction.com.
Here is your new Pella Lifestyle window when open. Here it is, closed. The new Pella Lifestyle series is the #1 performing window and patio door for sound control, energy efficiency, and value. Keep the outside noise outside. More peace and better rest for your family. Exceptional noise control for a quieter home. For a limited time, get $150 off windows and $500 off doors, or 48 months no interest. Call 888-77-PELLA, PellaPittsburgh.com.
Do you or your business overwhelmed with debt? Then call me, Attorney Dennis Spira, at 412-471-7675. My legal practice concentrates on bankruptcy law, debtor rights, and tax matters. I have over 30 years' experience as a former United States Department of Justice bankruptcy attorney and lawyer in private practice. I have represented thousands of cases faced with financial problems and lawsuits. Reorganize and get a fresh start. Call 412-471-7675 or visit my website at DennisSpira.com.
Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer.
Outbound 28 picking up some volume between the Veterans Bridge and Highland Bridge. On the outbound Park East, it's slow 8th Street, the Squirrel Hill Tunnel. On outbound Parkway West, it's all busy from Banksville Road to Carnegie and inbound between Greentree and the Fort Pitt Tunnel. Lane restrictions on Homestead Duquesne Road between Grant Avenue and Homebell Road in West Mifflin, and that's for construction. That's a look at traffic. I'm Jenny Robinson.
AM 1250, The Answer. Weather.
Through this evening, we'll have thunderstorms in the area, severe in some areas with damaging wind and hail. Downpours can lead to flooding as well. Mainly cloudy late tonight with a low 65. Partly sunny tomorrow with lower humidity, cooler with the high of pleasant 80. Partly cloudy, low 63 tomorrow night. Then Wednesday will be partly sunny, warm, and turning more humid again with an afternoon thunderstorm, high 85. With your AccuWeather forecast, I'm meteorologist Frank Streit.
About all of them will be telling you that they're for reparations for the black descendants of slaves. Well, here's a black descendant of slaves who said this on the subject.
Race is one that is not only becomes racist, but also beggars. I do believe in restitution. Let's point to the party that was
that allow us to move forward, to see children inside out and not outside in, to forgive, and every generation becomes better and better, versus and Marxists who will not allow us to move forward. Find something that proves about. They understand that this problem we've been able to listen to what they say and not pay attention to what they do. And what's happening now, they're beginning to lose the black vote in big numbers. I think the greatest present to us was President Obama, because he was such a lousy president that everybody's beginning to wonder what happened to hope and change. And as we begin to ask those questions, and of course, President Trump, we can put the right numbers in place where the highest percentage of growth in terms of black business ownership, lowest unemployment numbers, all those things began to really resonate with every American. And I think the black community is beginning to leave that plantation, and that's what the big concern is at this point.
What? I'm a white guy. I will never. What is it that might, if it's the case, prevent a black person who might be leaning from making the jump, because of what he might get from his black friends and black family members for being called and all, and how much of that is there, and how do you overcome it?
John, you just hit it on the head. Before you finish that, I was going to make that point. What the leftists have done, and let me just say this: it's not the white supremacists has been our issue. It's been the black elites. It's been those who've been in position, and in the past, it was a big deal to be called Uncle Tom, all that stuff. That's how they kind of kept people corralled in. We have a society now. We have a people that's beginning to realize it's no big deal. I mean, call us whatever you want to call us, as long as we love our country, our family, and we want to move forward. Call us whatever you want. Days are done. More black conservatives stepping up, saying, "I used to be this, I'm not anymore," and why they're doing it. And as we have these kind of conversations, in the end, the black community wins along with the rest of our country, as we have the right conversations about what we've done together and what the Democratic Party has actually done against us. They've been the greatest menace to the black community since the days of slavery.
And the other. Determined that that's the case. They don't. Not everybody comes out and says it, but you have especially black politicians like Maxine Waters just blatantly just calling him a racist, and so it's and you see videos of somebody wearing a MAGA hat getting beaten up by some black kids because they've now become convinced that if you support Donald Trump, if you're black, wrong with you. But if you're white, it's just how do you overcome?
As Americans begin to have more jobs, they have a greater hope for the future. Their kids are getting better schools, and we're having conversations that in the past we were not having. To have a black conservative like myself and me telling the truth. Dumb, ignorant, and emotional. So we don't have these kind of conversations, critical thinking and wondering in our history and seeing what foundations, those head, heart, with family. We get back to our foundational fundamental foundation, and we will actually be in good shape as a country across the board. Because in applying that to any culture, we win in the end of the day.
How much is political correctness holding blacks back? I don't know if you saw it today, and as a former pro athlete, you'll relate to this. The NBA now is basically moving toward no longer referring to the owners of the teams as owners. They're going to use the word governor because some players have said that because of how it's calls slavery to them as owners, and they don't want to be owned. Is there too much stuff? Too much time wasted on that?
Well, that's trying positive. So for these young players, not to understand that they are working for a company, not working for they work for a company, and these owners own the company. And they're going to find out they don't have to, take it for what it is and recognize it doesn't make any sense.
Well, believe me, Burgess, that it'll get a lot of play in the media, and the sports media will no longer refer to them as owners. I can guarantee you that. They'll be governors. They won't do it.
Yeah, well, every single time they get on the understand that if you by someone who is an owner of whatever you're doing. So we need to get not.
Calls you're going to get for your opinion on this. I hope you get a few, though.
Well, thank you.
That.
Yes, and it is. Actually, I grew up as conservative. We had conservative values. Our entire race had conservative values. That's why all those things were values, but we thought profit. And this is why our history is so important. How to distill our history. That elected a black president. Our history that every shows that we
will it help them keep 90 to 9?
So when people begin to realize how leftist these people are, the only way they're going to don't understand our culture, have no love for our country, to come in and give them the vote, because it's all about their white people are racist, don't know that don't know the education, don't know how to read and write and think. That's that small set that they're going after. They want to get that. Plus anybody else they can bring across the border, and that's what they're going to try to get their 2020 votes in.
What is the big switch, Burgess?
The big switch. Oh my goodness, that was Marxist propaganda. You understand done. All years. So now it's the Republican Party that is now this party, because that guy switched. We have party, Republican Party, and I'll say this: I am a conservative first. If the Republican Party decides to go become very liberal and progressive, I'll be the first to leave it. I'm all about conservatism, about American way, about everything that's made our country great, which is God, country, family. If we understand that, then those values will keep us on the right track and keep us moving together as we the people to be the greatest country in this country in history of mankind.
Last question, and I only have about a minute. And have you considered running for office? I know you're old. You're not too old.
.org. That's where my focus is, helping young kids coming out of the juvenile system to have their second chance and become the real advocates for our American way. So that's what my future is at this point.
And up the good work, man. I really enjoy. If you've had damage to your roof, windows, siding, or gutters and downspouts, you may be eligible to get them replaced or repaired free of charge. It's Premier Exterior Replacement Company for roofs, siding, gutters. If damage isn't your issue and you just want something new, you'll love their no-pressure approach, no hidden fees, and one of the fastest turnaround times in the industry. Why pay twice as much with other companies? Visit the area's exterior replacement company at windowsoruspittsburgh.com. Mention STAG for an additional 10% off at windowsoruspittsburgh.com. That's windowsoruspittsburgh.com. Windows R Us. Work of the week, Friday, right here.
Is a warrior. At Portersville Christian School, a warrior is more than a team. Here, at their fully accredited K through 12th grade Christian school, just 15 minutes north of Cranberry, a warrior is taught to serve, to passionately model the love of Christ toward neighbor, community, and world. A warrior is challenged to learn as they develop a strong work ethic, academic excellence, and cultivate a lifelong love of learning. And a warrior is trained to lead through Christian character and integrity so they can impact the world for Christ by their example wherever God calls them. So, are you a warrior? Discover Porter's Christian School, a fully accredited K through 12th grade Christian school just 15 minutes north of Cranberry. where warriors are made. At ourpcs.org. That's OURPCS.org.
Have you heard the crack of the bat, the cheers of the crowd? Have you seen the help of Pirates Charities and people like Moontown ground on a brand new playground? Athletes with special needs can play regardless of their ability. Tables and more. It's incredible. Our goal, to raise the remaining funds they need to bring it home by first pitch this September. Check it out at miraclesinmoon.org/donate and make your tax-deductible gift.
Just trudging through each day, but not really enjoying your life. I'm a counselor with Faithful Counseling. And that feeling of distress can sometimes be because you're wrestling with a problem that seems too big or too impossible to overcome. Other times, people are consumed off and begin enjoying your life. If it's not for you, cancel during your first. So easy to get started. First week is free. Try faithfulcounseling.com.
This is the John Steigerwald Show on AM 1250. The Answer.
So here's the headline. Bernie Sanders, quote, "We must pay." If elected president, quote, "so that we can stay true to our liberal values of not taking personal responsibility for anything." What kind of nation do we want to be? He asked a crowd gathered around him as he exited a local Denny's. Do we want to be a nation that asks people to work hard and take responsibility for themselves? That's right, we don't. We want to be a nation that remains true to itself, a nation where you can borrow hundreds of thousands of dollars and expect other people to pay for it. That's what .com, BABYLONBEE.com. That's perfect. Beautiful. And speaking of that, if you visit the John Steigerwald Show website at johnsteigerwaldshow.com, we have a little survey going on. What you do is you go up and click the surveys and contests link at the top left corner on the website there, and you can win 4 Pirates tickets. We're asking a question. The survey is about, well, we're asking a couple of questions, but it's a survey about student loan debt forgiveness. That's why I wanted to make sure that you heard what Bernie... But actually, this is funny because BabylonB.com is obviously a satire site, but this sounds like it could actually be. We want to be... We don't want to be a nation that remains... We want to be a nation that remains...
The John Steigerwald Show is a production of AM Media Group.
Are you worried that the next market downturn could rob you of your wealth and security? Are you concerned